And it wasn't to have more, it was to be more, I'll say, educated, more successful. I don't know what the message is now. I think a lot of people worry about being providers as opposed to being parents. And I think that's the problem that I see with social network, etc. I mean, kids are always on phones, adults are on phones, we get all our information from the phone. That prevents socialization. Without socialization, I mean, we're social beings. Without that socialization, we get a very narrow perspective of things in general.
Do we have to be social beings as much now as we were before technology?
Oh, yes, certainly. I think technology has it's obviously good, but there's been a cost socially that people depend on technology more than interacting with people. Even working with kids, what do parents do when they want to discipline? They take the phone or the technology away. When they do that, it's like World War III, but that's how powerful technology is.
I'm going to ask you a completely unrelated question. You're 40 years as a clinical psychologist. Have you ever had anybody walk in the door and within 5 minutes go, "Oh, this person's crazy"?
That I'm crazy?
Within 5 minutes, you're like, "Oh," and you're trying to subtly pull the pencils away from where he can reach them, kind of thing. Has that ever happened?
No. I'm in much more control of my office and my life and my patients than that.
But early on, I mean...
Well, I've worked in mental hospitals.
Oh, did you? Me too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I said I worked in them.
Did you ever get bit?
No, never got bit. I got a little unnerved. I had a patient that had to have electroshock therapy.
Ooh.
And
so
I was against it.
This was a long time ago.
Oh, a long time ago.
Right.
And I was against it, and the psychiatrist said, in essence, well, then come and attend. I said, I don't want to. I said to him, I would only have done to a patient what I would have done to me. And he said, so you want electroshock therapy? I said, yes. As far as I know, he didn't give it to me, but you don't remember things.
Oh, I like that. As far as I know, they didn't do it. Dr. Bob is my guest, Dr. Robert Andolina. And when did it become an interest? And I apologize, we had some technical issues. This is up running on Facebook now, on the live feed. When did you decide that you were going to write a book?
Oh, I would say about 4 or 5 years ago. I do a lot of program development, writing programs and whatnot. And
you're talking about clinical programs?
Yes, okay. Yes, inpatient, outpatient, residential, a lot of different programming. So I like to say I have a gift for writing programs. But also I've seen my field change dramatically. Everybody's in it. It's on commercials, call in, do this, do that. And it, in my opinion, got so watered down that I felt, wait a minute, I was trained with the dinosaurs. What they taught was very good. So I wanted to put my perspective out there, and not as a, here's what you do, but to help people take control of their lives, understand we can advocate for ourselves. We have the ability to fix things. We need some guidance. We need some direction. You look like you don't agree.
No, I've got a question. Do you believe everyone has the ability to improve their lot, I guess?
Within reason, yes.
Do you believe everyone has an interest in improving their lot?
I would say the interest gets muted because they don't have the, what I want to say, self-esteem or confidence to take care of things. Being a victim in our culture seems to be a prized place because then people don't expect things. Projecting blame onto others as opposed to taking responsibility, that undermines us having the ability to change things. But I do believe if we can tap into giving people confidence that they can solve problems, that they will learn how.
How much of it is self-perception and how much of it is genetically lazy, intellectually lazy?
I would say for the most part self-perception, that people doubt themselves. As I said, the social network is so limited right now. I mean, when I first came out, I'd ask people, who were your heroes? Who do you look up to give myself an idea how this person looked? people, adults as well, don't know heroes anymore. They're kind of limited in what they do, and unfortunately, they get satisfied with that.
Who should they be talking about?
Well, when I say
a well-adjusted brains heroes, who should they be, or what category should those heroes come from?
That's not my job. It's for you to tell me who your hero is, and then what I say to people, excuse me, I challenge your thinking. I don't have your answers, but I challenge your thinking. If you want to maintain what you're doing, fine, but that's up to you.
How much pushback comes when you challenge somebody's hero concept?
Well, it depends.
Have they committed to listening just by having a conversation with you?
I would say people, when they walk in and they're committed to doing therapy, a lot of questions, but they want to interact. They want answers, but I'm very quick to say I do therapy with people, not to them. I challenge their thinking. I don't pretend to have their answers.
Anybody ever come in and just say, fix me?
Yeah, and then they left very quickly. No, I'm teasing. No, I would say, Ed, that people come in with that. They're uncertain, they're unsure, they're willing to take a risk, and it's my job to help them get comfortable. It's called a therapeutic alliance. Who am I to be trusted just because I have these credentials? You've got to learn to interact with me, develop a relationship, because people automatically feel they're being judged. We're reading their minds, all those things that are terrible misconceptions.
When people come in, can you read the distrust, or do some people say, I'm not here because I want to be, I'm here because somebody told me I had to be, and go, fix me?
Well, I would say to you, I use humor, so when people say to me, I don't want to be here, I'll say, neither do I.
Yeah.
But, I'm sorry.
No, how does humor humanize?
Oh, humor is very powerful. If you know how to use it and you're not condescending or self-deprecating, that eases people when you can be a real person.
You don't think self-deprecating can be beneficial from your point of view?
No, I do not.
Does it dilute the authority of the education?
Education, academic education?
I say something and you say, yeah, I don't know what to think about that neither. Just a little bit of a self-shot, or does that count as bonding?
What I might say with that is, tell me why you feel that way. I'd want to pursue the thinking, because, again, if I start telling you that's wrong, I'm already assuming a position of, I'll say, superior. I don't want that in my clinic and my working with people. I want them to understand they're doing the work.
Dr. Robert Andolina?
Yes,
did I say it right or wrong?
You did
that
very well.
That IE thing's throwing me hard. And there's also a song in my head because of it. What would you have done if you hadn't become a clinical psychologist? What would have suited you, your disposition?
As a young man, I was interested in being a priest, but I tell people I became a father instead.
Okay.
Helping people I grew up in the 60s, helping people,
Were you a hippie?
Was I?
Yeah.
Is that, I certainly was.
Okay.
Weren't we all?
Well, I wasn't old enough. I know what the hippie thing was about. Do you still, hippies, it's been my experience, you just think it's just funny. Hippies, it's been my experience, have boundless optimism regarding the world.
Then I'll take that as a compliment.
Do you maintain that?
I would take that as a compliment. Yeah, I wouldn't pretend to say I was a hippie, but yes, that confidence, that's powerful, and we all have that. You need to self-promote it, though. So, yeah, I would say that if that's what you call a hippie, I want to be one, because I do have confidence in myself and everybody that they can do.
Did that grow with experience, or was that a base coat to get experience with?
I would say both. And the challenges that I faced were as real as everybody's. Excuse me. But I was blessed with parents' can-do attitude, don't take no for an answer, et cetera, and I've promoted that. I'm not afraid of failure. I tell people, if you're afraid of failure, you're afraid of success. Mistakes, you learn from them. all the things that people see as boundaries or preventing them from whatever are learning experiences. You build on that.
Is that what imposter syndrome is? That you're fighting against? You look around and going, hey, things are going really well. I don't deserve this.
Okay, I'll give you that one, but I would argue I'm going to, again, challenge that thinking. Why don't you deserve this? And do you want to improve? Do you want to build on it? I'm not talking about material things. I'm talking about emotional integrity, etc. You build on that, the world's an easy place to be. You can have everything in the world if you have self-confidence or nothing, and you still feel great about yourself.
When does the self-confidence become whistling past the graveyard? It's like, I don't have it, but if I project it, other people will think I have it. Is that a growth opportunity, or are you just whistling past the graveyard?
Well, no, self-confident, and let's do it this way. When in earlier times, having self-esteem, self-confidence was seen as you thought you were better than everybody. And it was, shall I say, dissuaded. I don't see it that way. Self-confidence, not inflating yourself, but being confident you can handle situations, to not be avoiding things, to own when you make mistakes, to own when you cause problems. That to me is self-confidence, and it allows me to solve problems. I see them as challenges, not as problems. And even in discussion, I talk more about new beginnings. It's a beginning instead of an end. When you say, my job is over, wow. But if you say, I just started, it's a different energy.
Is it the most difficult thing in the world for a human to say, it's my fault?
Taking ownership is not a comfortable thing for humans, as we call them. But we all have that capacity. Once we understand why we're afraid to admit we're wrong, once we understand what those underpinnings are.
What typically would be a reason why you're afraid, besides the ego?
Well, that's a big part of it, but also what other people think of me. We have this backwards. It's not what people think of me, it's what I think of me is what people will read. If I project insecurity, people treat me as an insecure person. If I walk in a room, shake your hand, look you in the eye, good eye contact, people think you're confident. I walk in with my shoulders slumped, my head down, people ignore you.
Dressed like an unmade bed, it's easy, yeah. Dr. Bob, sorry.
No, that's fine.
Dr. Robert Andolina is my guest. I got plenty more questions. We'll do it after news. And the Facebook feed is up and working. It was Blinky before Blinky, seldom good in this world.
Beaver County Transit Authority connects you to where you want to be. The doctor's office or well-deserved shopping spree will take you to wherever you please. Safe, no fuss, leave the driving to us. Hop on, adventures coming your way. Beaver County Transit Authority, BCTA. Ride the bus.
Midland residents, are you looking to travel to Calcutta using public transportation? BCTA Connect is live now. This service is free until March 1st, 2025. Rides can be booked using the convenient BCTA Connect app or by calling our customer service team at 724-375-2895. See how same-day, on-demand trips can help you by riding with BCTA Connect today. Visit our website at www.bcta.com/connect for more information.
If you own a company or a small business, you might have considered advertising on radio. It's smart because radio is still the most far-reaching media outlet today. WBVP and WMBA can get you results. Get more information at beavercountyradio.com.
For good food, a friendly atmosphere, and fun for everyone, hang out at the Hangar in Moon Township. It's a perfect place to meet your friends after work. Relax with your favorite beverage and let loose with their jukebox playing your favorite tunes, or watch the big game on one of their many flat-screen TVs. The Hangar features weekly specials. Every Tuesday, enjoy dollar tacos, or indulge in their delicious wing specials every Thursday. Happy hour at the Hangar is unmatched with half-off drinks Monday through Friday. Their expansive menu boasts a diverse selection sure to please every taste bud, complemented by an impressive array of beers to satisfy even the most discerning palate. The Hangar, where local charm meets family-friendly fun, located at 500 Flockerty Run Road, Coriopolis. Hang out at the hangar today.
Looking for an elevated dining experience with a lively bar atmosphere? Jackson's Restaurant and Bar in Monaca is your go-to destination. Join Jackson's for Thursday Night Live, featuring top-notch local music. At Jackson's, they serve modern American cuisine with a fresh flair. Perfect for lunch, dinner, and now Sunday brunch from 10 to 2, plus Sunday dinner from 2 to 6. Located near the Beaver Valley Mall, adjacent to the Hilton Garden Inn, Jackson's is the perfect venue for your next wedding, bridal shower, birthday, or anniversary. Visit jacksonsbeavervalley.com for details.
Beaver County Radio's news source. 99.3 FM, 1230 WBVP, and beavercountyradio.com. Here's Noah Haswell.
Good morning on this Tuesday, February 4th of 2025. We will have a complete Beaver County radio weather forecast after we take this look at news. Monday was the second anniversary of the East Palestine train derailment. Here's Beaver County Radio's Curtis Walsh with more.
Cleanup efforts and recovery are still ongoing since the disastrous 2023 East Palestine train derailment. Many residents in East Palestine waited along streets in the community for Vice President J.D. Vance's appearance Monday. Beaver County Radio had the opportunity to speak with some of those residents.
They're scared to drink some of the water, some of the bottled water coming from the Ohio River.
Multiple individuals say they're frustrated with the fact that they're still waiting on their settlement payments.
This is the one thing we need help on, and the focus seems to be everything that Norfolk Southern has done for East Palestine. But what's a park when people still don't have their money? The lawyers have been paid, all the judgments in, everybody got their money except the people.
You can read more at beavercountyradio.com. From East Palestine, this is Curtis Walsh reporting for Beaver County Radio News.
According to a release from Congressman Chris DeLuzio's office, DeLuzio and 3 other Congress members announced the Railway Safety Act of 2025 on Monday. The release states that the act will create wayside defect detector requirements, increase fines for rail carrier wrongdoings, and have 2 or more people on railroad crews. The act will also provide more procedures for trains that are carrying hazardous materials that will furthermore enhance safety. The Community College of Beaver County is paired up with R&A Catering to provide food and beverage options for both breakfast and lunch, as well as weekly specials that are homemade. The college will also have catering on the main site of its campus because the Titan Cafe reopens for the first time since the COVID-19 pandemic. From 7:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Mondays through Thursdays during the spring semester, R&A Catering will serve in the Titan Cafe in the Student Services Center, Building Number 1. A donation was given to the Scholarship Fund of Flourish Beaver County by the Bridges and Pathways College Alliance. This association is made up of Geneva College, Penn State Beaver, and the Community College of Beaver County. The Bridges and Pathways College Alliance gave the money to reduce obstacles of success in education for students in Beaver County. Gas prices are a penny lower in western Pennsylvania this week at about $3.50 per gallon. That's according to AAA East Central's gas price report. The report states that at this week last year, the average price for gas was about $3.39 per gallon. The report also notes that the average price that you can expect for a gallon of unleaded gas here in Beaver County is about $3.50. Pennsylvania State Police in Beaver report that they are investigating a harassment of a 5-year-old male juvenile that occurred in Midland Borough on Monday at 10:24 a.m. A child line abuse call was answered by police for a potential case of harassment of an unidentified male juvenile. The incident location was on Beaver Avenue. Police continue to investigate this incident. Beaver County Radio News correspondent Sandy Giordano reports that the Boys and Girls Club of Western Pennsylvania's Aliquippa Clubhouse announced signups for both their summer camp and after-school program. The B.F. Jones Memorial Library is hosting signups for both events on Tuesday, February 4th from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. and on Saturday, February 8th from noon to 2 p.m. According to a flyer from the Boys and Girls Club of Western Pennsylvania's Aliquippa Clubhouse, a $150 gift card will be available if you register for the summer camp prior to Valentine's Day.
Here's the Beaver County forecast.
Cloudy, then gradually becoming sunny. We'll see a high near 35. Mostly cloudy tonight will drop down to a low around 23. Cloudy throughout the day tomorrow. Then there is a chance of snow followed by a chance of freezing rain in the evening. Look for a high near 32 and a low around 29. Rain and possible thunderstorms expected on Thursday will reach a high near 53 and a low around 27. And mostly sunny on Friday. We'll see a high near 34 and a low around 24. I'm Lisa Marie with your Beaver County weather.
That's a look at the news for now. I'm Noah Haswell on 99.3 FM and AM 1230 WBVP, also streaming live around the world at beavercountyradio.com.
Are you ready? It's time to find out what is on the mind of Eddie Crow. It's something to crow about on Beaver County Radio, 99.3 FM and 1230 WBVP. Now, here's the host of the show, Eddie Crow.
Having a wonderful conversation. I'm getting schooled up. Dr. Robert Andolina is my guest. The current book, is called Conversations with Dr. Bob, Volume 1. All right, I feel like we've gotten along well enough for me to go ahead and say this. That makes it sound like these are conversations in your head. Are these conversations that came up consistently in your 40-year practice that you thought, this needs to go in a book, which is available at Amazon, Conversations with Dr. Bob. I'll hold it up to the camera. See? Conversations with Dr. Bob, Volume 1. Is Volume 2 going to be called Rebuttal? Why did you write that? Because I've read it and I think I like it a lot. And I think it's interesting. But what was the plan when you sat down and said, I'm going to write this?
Well, what I see a lot of, Ed, is people looking for answers beyond themselves, looking for the right this and that, or wanting validation. And I feel strongly that that's giving up power and control that we all have over our life.
By looking for validation, we're giving up power.
In my opinion, yes,
okay.
Because it's got to come from me first. And I'm not saying be superficial or whatever, but if I'm looking for validation from everyone, that makes you schizophrenic. Huh? You're doing this for him, this for... It's too confusing. Be a good person. Be your own person. I mean, all those things, and that's what the book's about. Ways to take control of situations, not deny them or live in spite of them, but to admit, hey, I didn't do this well, but here's how I can do it, excuse me, instead of being a victim of our behavior.
How much of it is because we as a species are afraid to be alone?
Very good question. A lot of it is. We don't want to be isolated. We don't want to... We give certain, what do I want to say, we respect people that are, say, monks or whatever, but it's not an easy thing to do. So being alone, yeah, we don't want that. That's why I say, again, with all the technology, COVID, and I hate using that word, but it kicked all this to the side, and people haven't rebounded yet. So being alone...
Kicked all of what? The socialization that we had? Socialization...
In COVID, where we needed, those people that had COVID needed support, what did we do? We relegated them to the back room. We stayed away from them. We wanted nothing to do with them.
But haven't we done that with mental health since there's been a concept of mental health? You talked earlier about juicing guys. You know, when you start frying brains.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I mean, we've moved forward, but... Hadn't it always been the shame and people not wanting to talk about it?
That's correct. And in the 60s, 70s, we closed the mental institutions.
That's right.
And started to humanize people. As I said, I had the opportunity to work in mental hospitals, and the people were treated as subhuman. And I don't mean it... it just was the way society looked at people that were in those facilities.
It was a holding facility. It was not a treatment facility.
I would agree with you 100%. And I see a lot of those. That's what I'm saying. When I talked about developing programs, I ran inpatient psychiatric units. I ran residential units. but I realized quickly that the skills you learned there did not transfer into society in general. So I started to push where it would be community-based programs, because you had your support system around you instead of being sent away for a year, so to speak.
How much of it is a difficult pitch because of what you just said? Contribution to society, and we've been talking about our self-worth. A lot of our self-worth is societally tied into what good we're doing out there.
I would agree, but again, it has to start with me first. In other words, my bias is there's no leadership anymore. I don't see it, and I don't mean people are looking to me to find. There's no leadership. Without leadership, we can't do those things. But I would say let's become leaders then, and people will gravitate towards us because people are looking for things.
If there are no leaders anymore, wasn't that society's chosen path to eliminate leaders? I agree with you. There aren't too many people you look at and go, that's a leader. But if society's not demanding seeing leadership,
very good.
Aren't we in our own mess?
I would not disagree. But the fact that we created it, we can correct it too. I think that education was a big thing, but everybody is educated. Everybody has everything. We've watered a lot of things down, and I don't mean it the way in a negative way. I just mean that's where statesmen were not politicians. We have politicians now. Again, I'm not a political person, but I'm saying in general, the leadership, I don't see it, and I don't hear people. I treat doctors, lawyers, professional athletes, business owners. They're all looking for the same thing, some leadership. So I'm not saying here's what I think. I'm getting that from reliable sources as well.
What do you tell somebody when they come to you and say there's no leadership?
I talk about them, first of all, why do you feel that way? And then I talk about them being a leader in their own life. Are you taking control or responsibility for what you're doing? Are you trying, or are you giving up? Are you looking for validation outside? I work hard to have people self-actualize. Whatever it is.
Define that for people.
Self-actualization means you see the power in yourself and you take control of it and you move forward and you are owning everything that occurs, as opposed to, what do you think of me? I didn't do that. Could you help me? The insecurity undermines everybody and everything. And we as men, if we're insecure, that trickles down to the family. We've got to be leaders. We've got to show our spouses and our children how to handle things. We need support. To me, that I'll call it intimacy in a marriage. It's the vulnerability. It's the ability to say, I'm not sure. But when we have intimacy in a marriage, you can do anything. There's no such thing as cannot. When we're just in a relationship.
You're talking about intellectual and emotional intimacy.
Across the board, correct. Okay. Yeah, what I'm getting at is, I'll say this. When we marry, we drink from the pool of intimacy. We can do anything. We build together. We do lots of things. When all of a sudden the job, this, that, and the other get in the way, and we're, shall I say, parallel trains, you have some strength, but you don't have the strength you need to accomplish things or to overcome things that just come to us naturally. Challenges become problems. And as I say, with intimacy, you can overcome anything. You can live in a mansion or in a cardboard box. If that intimacy is strong, you can handle things. And that's my point. We grow to the grave. It's not like, okay, I've accomplished this, I'm done. I don't see that.
Do you really think, as a general statement, as a general culture, that Americans feel motivated to grow to the grave?
No, okay. I don't. I think people...
That's why I ask. I appreciate your optimism, but how many people haven't read a book since the last book in school?
I do not disagree. And even further, when you ask people what their goals are, what do they want? No, people can tell you what they don't want, but ask them what they want. Like I said, focus on the positive again. People get verklempt. They don't know.
I'm all verklempt over here. Dr. Robert Andolina is my guest, and we're talking about the human condition. How much bigger a mess are we than 20 years ago? 30 to 50%? Because it feels like it's a lot worse.
It feels like we're a lot more disconnected. I'm going to stay with that. I think that that's the big thing. We're disconnected as a society, as a group. When we're connected, we can accomplish a lot. But that disconnection, that lack of trust, the no social, all those things we've talked about earlier, that has a profound, I'll say, limiting impact on people.
What you just said reminded me of a question I wanted to ask, talking about socialization. Is it possible that socialization is part of a bygone era because of technology? What did we learn during COVID? We could sit at home and still have a job.
Correct.
Is there, instead of a carbon-based life form, social hierarchy, is the younger generation working towards a silicon-based social structure?
Unfortunately, I would say parents think that. I think that kids, the isolation, COVID, what did it do? It isolated, all right?
It made kids 2 years behind in life.
Right. Oh, yeah. And unfortunately, that has continued. People have accepted that rather than promote these other things. The technology, great. It's good. But when that's all that's out there, that's all you hold on to, it's tough to relate to a radio box or a telephone, but people do it. I've had even young adults say to me, they'll hold up their phone and they'll say, Dr. Bob, you call this a door, we call it a window. And I'll say, okay, tell me about your friends where they live. Paris. Do you ever meet them? No, but they're my friends. What I'm getting at is there's a false sense of security. And as soon as it's challenged, people fail. People don't have the confidence that they can overcome this in-person stuff.
Does it in part make them convince themselves, oh, no, I'm socially capable, I have a friend in Paris?
It does, unfortunately, but it's not effective. As I said, all the anonymity with all these different technology, everybody has an opinion or out there. Meet that person face to face, they probably won't even look at you, let alone talk to you. You got to own what you're doing. You can't blame the world for your shortcomings.
Keyboard muscles.
Yes.
Keyboard muscle. All right. Well, how do you get somebody to unwind from that? Because it is safe. It is comfortable. No, there's really not going to be any personal conflict if there's not any personal interaction.
I'd agree, and I can date myself. Let's not forget that 5-10 years ago, Silicon Valley was complaining there was too much technology going on. Mm-hmm. They were the ones that invented it, and they were the ones who felt, whoa, this is not going the way we want it.
Getting ahead of us.
I rest my case.
Yeah. What do you think about AI? Not the technology of it, but the ability of human beings to recognize or care that it's made up?
I would say, again, let me qualify, I'm not sophisticated in technology. When I hear things like AI, when I hear things like ChatGPT, I wonder, why don't we think? Why don't we do this ourselves? Why are we trying to make it easier and easier? We have cars that drive themselves. What are we looking for? Why does it have to be easy? And I'm not saying AI, et cetera, can't facilitate, but unfortunately, I think people rely on it and just take that at face value.
What you're asking is, why are we lazy when given every opportunity? How much unlazy should a healthy brain find?
That's the big, I like that. The brain. We don't want our brain to be lazy, and it gets lazy. Brain focuses and functions on synaptic connections and electrical charge, all that. That goes to sleep. That goes to sleep when we're doing technology.
The cleft widens, doesn't it?
Exactly. That's the same with substance abuse. The brain stops producing various hormones, endorphins, etc., that we need to function because it gets a wash from the alcohol or the drugs. And then when people develop get in recovery, they have a lot of aches and pains, they can't sleep, this, that, and the other, because the brain's still waiting for that, I'll call it alcohol wash, to settle.
That, hey, it's 5 o'clock, what's up? Signal down to your body. How much do we depend on external fixes versus internally recognizing what we can do for ourselves? I asked that thinking of all of the commercials on late at night.
Mm-hmm.
This pill fixes depression, but a side effect may be depression.
Right. I agree. That's what the book's about, that there are that external piece. Medication is merely an effort to help the body correct itself, do something. But we need to do the work. If there were a pill out there that did all the things that people think they do, we'd all take it. It isn't out there. I'm not denying medication has a role, but in my career, I talk about being a therapeutic window. You're not as depressed if you're on an antidepressant, but that gives you and I the chance to talk and deal with issues.
Right, it buys enough time to...
Right, and then you can decrease the medication and you've got control. So it has a value, but we can't give medication the credit for any successes we have.
How often does that happen? Somebody comes to your office and they say, just give me a pill.
Not at all, because I'm not licensed to prescribe medication.
Well, no, but you can send somebody on the way.
Have a
as a psychologist, you know a psych.
Right, we have psychiatrists on staff. If people want to be evaluated for medication, I'll ask questions. I'll do an interview. And if I feel it's appropriate, meaning, yeah, you've got these things and you're not just looking for a quick fix, then I'll make the referral. But as I said, people, as you say, those late night commercials do this. Just call in and do therapy. It takes the worry out of being close. I see therapy as a contact sport. You got to be involved.
I was going to ask you that because I see those, and especially during COVID, a licensed therapist will sit and stare at, and I know people in my life, therapy twice a week, it's a Zoom therapy.
Yeah, well, that to me...
What's fallen short?
Everything. That's
really?
During the pandemic, essential workers we were. So we're in the office every day. Interestingly enough, the patients were too. Zoom, I am not a fan. I read everything, your eyes, your posture, your body language. I'm looking at everything. When I'm on Zoom, you could be petting the dog. There's all the distractions. You're not paying any more attention than I am. To be effective, we need a personal contact. Like I say, it's a contact sport. It's not TV.
It's watching. It's the difference between interviewing you in person versus interviewing you on the phone.
Exactly, Ed. And as I said, some people do it. I'm not saying don't do it. I just challenge the effectiveness of it. Because if you're going to do drive-by therapy, you get what you pay for, kind of thing.
Is that the term, drive-by therapy?
That's the one I just used. I'll hold on to it.
Hang on, it's a good one. If it gives you a little bit of help, is something better than nothing, or are you still missing an opportunity?
What I would tell you is they're missing an opportunity. Something's better than nothing, but like I said, I was trained with the dinosaurs. We treat, quote, syndromes, the whole picture, not symptoms. When people say, I don't want to do this anymore, help me. Okay, we'll do this and you won't, but then they come back and are doing this instead.
Okay.
So the symptom reduction might give you some temporary relief, but it doesn't solve the problem, doesn't address it.
Is there a discernible benefit? Somebody will only go on Zoom, but that leads them to learning how to go in person? Because you talked about the hesitancy of some people to go face-to-face.
Well, as I said, I'm not getting down on that. I'm saying if that's their best approach, it's something. But it minimizes the impact, the effectiveness of therapy. It's like watching TV. You've got a lot of distractions on Zoom. You can't, it's redirection. It's a lot of things occur. And again, those people that prefer it and those clinics that do it, fine, but there's not a lot of research that supports the effectiveness of it. So as I said, I jokingly drive-by therapy, fine, but put the time in. That's your life, my friend. You don't want to put time into your life, and you're going to tell me over here this isn't working. I challenge that. I want to do things that work for me. It isn't easy. Therapy is not easy. I respect people that go into the office for therapy because they're willing to do the work, but it is challenging. It's good work, but it's work. So as I say, the phone, the monitor, that's fine. It's just not me, but I challenge, why not invest more? Why not get out there and do? Because once again, there's so many other components you get from being in person.
Got a couple minutes left, Dr. Robert Andolina. is my guest, and what should I have asked you that I didn't ask you? Because we went off on tangents. Well, you didn't. You were professional. I drifted a few times. What should I have asked you?
Well, it's what is therapy, for instance? What's the reason for it? It's not what you should have asked me, sir. It's more about I want to help people get motivated to do things. This vehicle, the radio, my bias, I reach a lot more people with you here than I do in my office. Hopefully some will take advantage of that and start moving on. When you say what you ask me, as I said, I'm not a psychologist at home. You get from me not only education, but the experience and the human component. I have faced the same challenges anybody does. I'm no better at it than you are. But as I said, it's an individual challenge. I challenge your thinking, and I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, just because I challenge your thinking, and if you want to change, here's some things we can try. If you're comfortable with the way you are, that's okay too. It's not my job to, quote, make you better. Invest yourself in what you're doing.
Tell people how they can get in touch with you, and tell people how they can get the book. The book's on Amazon, you said, but tell people how they can get in touch with you.
They get in touch with me. It's drbobandolina.com. That will give you the information.
And the book's on Amazon.
And
sometime in the near future, you want to come back and we'll psychoanalyze me on the air?
I'd enjoy that. We've got to watch with confidentiality. You have to sign a release first.
I'm cool, dude. I'm all about HIPAA compliance. I'm solid.
Look at you. Okay.
Yeah.
I'd love to. I've enjoyed it. You're a very bright man.
I'd
this is
love
very
to.
good.
You're a mess. There's a lot of deep digging.
Or I'm self-actualized.
There
but I'll
you go.
bump.
Dr. Bob will be back.